Welcome everyone to episode 157 of Just...
I have returned. I have turned the recorder on. Anything incriminating you want to say, make it good. Like I want a good crime, not like I stole candy from a baby, but I mean something heinous or super villainous at the very best.
Bury the bodies.
Nice. Exactly. So right now you're deep into book 2. So you're also promoting book 1, right? Right. So yeah, is that a weird balancing act for you?
Yeah, mostly because a lot of the marketing and promotion stuff I don't know anything about. So it's a lot of learning while I'm doing.
So
a lot of it gives me anxiety.
Well, see, there is. I'm a bit of a strange duck, is in that I'm not as worried about marketing as I should be. I think every writer's like that, but my reasoning's a little different. I look at it kind of like, well, what you're actually trying to do is trying to get people to know who you are. That's the real challenge. Like a sale is essentially an equation. And the equation is this. It is who you are. What do you offer? Why should I care? If you can answer all three of those questions, you have a sale. And when you simplify it like that, you're like, okay, well, I'm Joshua Pentel-Rasco. I write stuff and podcasts too, and you should care because you should like my podcast because I talk to authors like yourself, and we get to know who you are and because of why you're awesome. And if you know that, you'll care. And my books are great because they're wildly imaginative and original. And if you want something that's a little bit different, and you want something that's a little bit more of a bit of an alternative in terms of how things are presented in a journey, I'm the author for you. But I know who I am. And I think a big thing with authors is they're so concentrated on their worlds and their books, right? They don't take that minute and go, okay, what exactly am I doing here? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's like a pretty hard for a lot of authors because probably as a fairly popular opinion for a lot of authors, they're very introverted.
Mm-hmm.
They spend a lot of time in their mind figuring out the story and everything, and then they have to stop thinking about the inward of the story once it's out and published, and think outward of getting the word out to people and stuff like that.
Well, that's definitely true. I think the thing is today, because of just the nature of how social media works and the nature of just how, just in general, how marketing works today, writers they have to be extroverted introverts. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, we all have introvert qualities, and that's never going to go away. I know myself, I do need time when I'm not around a lot of people, because if I don't have that, I go bonkers. Right, because I just need that quiet time, but I also, again, just purely on a logic level, right? I have to get out there. I have to make people aware that I exist in some form or another, and that's just a reality today. And so I don't have the luxury of being shy.
Yeah, exactly.
Fortunately, I don't have that problem. So that's kind of how I see it. You seem more. I don't know. So, but you do seem like you're kind of more shyer. Is that fair?
For me, it's not so much that I'm shy. It's just that a lot of the base concepts that a lot of people who are really good with social media and stuff like that kind of escape me because it's just out of my realm of thinking. Like today, I had to have someone explain to me how exactly Twitter works.
Oh, Twitter's strange.
I didn't know. I'm like, how does... Because they said someone else on my feed sent to just what looked basically like code to me with all the hashtags and everything. What is he saying?
Yeah, no. Twitter's a strange little monster. I tend to talk about ice cream and Baileys on Twitter, or every once in a while I say something real, but by and large, I look at the fact that Twitter's just a place to have fun. Like you can have an impact on, and it's actually a good place to practice being yourself too. I find the worst mistake authors make on Twitter is if I follow you, you give me this advertisement for your book, and I get it, you want to sell stuff, and we all do, but I mean, I don't want that to be my first impression of you. I want to know who you are.
Know them before you.
Yeah, exactly. If I like you, I'll buy your book. If you sound like a real person, I did that not too long ago. Actually, I met somebody from Russia on there because I write at insane late hours, and what ended up happening was we just started talking, and it's like, wow, you're a real person. It's like, yes, I will buy your book. Why? Because you are a real person. I like real.
That personal connection.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all to the.
Like people like knowing, like if they feel like they can know somebody who might be a new and upcoming thing, then they'll like definitely go for it.
Well, it's not even so much that. It's about knowing you as a person. I think. If I know you, like, and you're awesome, and you like for example, like your novel from what I gather is about superheroes. So I like superheroes. It's like, okay, we have a similar interest there. And this is my chance to talk to you and see if you're like, you know, 100% real person. I mean, I didn't know that going in, and I'm sure after earlier today you probably wondered if I did exist at all. So, but I mean that's the whole thing. Like today, it's about communication a lot more, like the ability to get out there and just be who you are. And I think those people that do that well are the ones that get noticed.
Yeah.
And that's Twitter, and that's Facebook. Even Facebook, that's Facebook in a nutshell too. I mean, I think
that's basically where I run it.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Facebook does have its problems now in terms of reaching in terms of reaching people. It's a lot harder to do it. On the one hand, on the other hand, it's still useful, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a little like less chaotic than Twitter, but it's a lot more limited.
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of where it's at. I like Instagram. Instagram's a lot of fun.
That's one I downloaded the app, but I haven't got into it yet.
So Instagram, I figured it out. For me, it's your Saturday morning comic. I can't remember which one it is, but there's this one that you used to read. Like you'd have all the words underneath all the pictures. It's like, so I look at Instagram, that's how I see it. Now I see it like that. It's like, oh, this could be fun. Yeah. I'm silly that way, though. I look at things. I look at things and go, okay, how can I play with this? And that's a big part of who I am as a person, too, is I look at how to have fun. With one of my most popular Facebook threads is to name my unicorn my next book. You know, that's and he farts rainbows too. Don't worry. But then that's one of your more popular threads. I mean, it shows you who you are as a character. But anyway, that's enough about me. Let's talk about you here. So, why writing? Why did you get into writing?
I started writing a lot of just short stories when I was little because I loved working out, like making up stories and making. This is why I loved playing D&D, because I loved making the background of a character and really getting into a headspace of a different person.
That's cool.
Like kind of feeling out their adventures and stuff like that. And this is the first time that I've had enough of a story to write a novel, never mind a series, to it.
I feel like the series, based on what you've already said, is kind of an accident.
Yeah.
Do you know how many books it's going to be, or are you just kind of going, I'm just going to write to the end?
Yeah, I basically just have like a set amount of things that I want to happen, and write until I get to the end of that.
and you're going to be doing more novels, and this is done. Do you have more stories that are that big in your head, or are you going to try something different?
Yeah, I have a bunch. Like I have some other offshoot stories that are in this world with some of the characters, and then I also have just completely different stories that I have what I call an idea vault. And every time I get like a new idea for something, so I don't get too distracted from what I'm doing right now, I write it down in my idea vault, which is basically just a Word document with all these different ideas in it.
No, that's really cool. For that, I have pen and paper. I find that actually works better for me than computer. But
Works really good for me when I'm doing like the initial planning of everything. Like I am very much a plotter, which is I carefully plan out everything before I write it.
I'm using that method a little bit more myself with the next book. I have to because it's a little bit more complicated. There's too many moving parts. Also, I'm trying to avoid soggy middles. My current novel, when we through edits, the middle was incredibly soggy. So soggy, I could put my hand, arm, my whole body through it. So I needed to fix it. All right. That all said, I do enjoy still being surprised from time to time. Do you give yourself room for that, or are you like very meticulous that this is what's going to happen to this and to?
I am very meticulous with what's spotting out, because I have this kind of irrational fear of accidentally running myself into a loophole.
So what happens if your character goes to you? No, I want to do this. Do you fight with the character, or does the character win?
Sometimes the character wins, but I like plan it out ahead of time. So it's like I feel like the character should be going in another direction. I go back to the planning stage.
So you're like the Wile E. Coyote of writing. You got this big Acme blueprint with this giant plot, and then if it goes to pieces, you just go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I gotta go back.
Sounds lumps in the head, though. Yeah.
I have a whiteboard that that's what I use once I know what's happening in it. I use that to map out the scenes, like the scene structure.
Nice.
Yeah, so I like being able to see it all in front of me.
No, it's not, like I said, it's not a bad way to go. Like I'm going to be like for my own writing, I know I'm going to be more in that direction. Pretty much from here on in. Because most of my stuff, I still like that little bit of pantsing of, I don't need to know every little thing that happens. In fact, I enjoy it when I don't know everything that happens. But I do need to have my bigger beats for sure, just really, really, really nailed down. Because if I don't, again, I don't want any soggy middles anymore. So I'm growing as a writer too and stuff. It does happen. I'm maturing or something to that effect.
Like, definitely looking back at my old stuff, I definitely see my progression as a writer.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's the hope, and that's the hope every time you write something new too. I mean, I look back at my first book and I cringe a little bit at some things. Right, but also you gotta give respect to yourself a little bit too, because I mean, it takes a certain audacity to write a book. If you really sit there and think about it, it really, really does. And younger you, especially since they know less, has to plow in a lot more, be a lot braver when they plow in. And I find that it's a really, really tough balance, because sometimes you can go back and go, I couldn't make that better. But, right?
It's really hard to know when to just set it down.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, at that point, I think you just should set it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find what's really good for, like, doing that is, like, when you just keep thinking, oh, maybe there's something missing, like the whole beta reader thing.
I had a terrible experience with beta readers.
Oh, really?
Well, for me, it was just trying to find reliable people. I put out, like, I had over 2 dozen people say, yeah, I'll read your story. I only got a full beta read back from one person. It's really, really, I mean, it's really, 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 what's the term? It's frustrating. I found for me, because it was just like, I'm very old fashioned. If you say you're gonna do something, you do it. Now life happens, right? I mean, a few of those instances, like, they were like pretty legit. You can't really be mad at them for anything. But there's just a lot of people that just, I hate having my time wasted. I hate it. And I found with the majority of the beta readers I had, it was just that was the experience. You know, I know I need beta readers, but you know, that's just where I'm at with it.
It's hard to find ones that are really trustworthy. I got pretty lucky with that. I different beta readers that got back to me.
Cool.
Reads of my book, and they're actually really good input. Like, I changed a couple things because of their input, and I think it made the story overall better. And it also allowed me to work through issues in there, and it also launches into something that connects into the second book.
Well, that's really cool.
Grateful for that.
Well, no, I think betas are a very important part for any process of a writer. I just think, in my case, acquiring them was very frustrating.
The struggle.
Yeah, it's just acquiring them is incredibly frustrating. Finding people that will read your stuff and will help you make it better is invaluable, and and for me, that was probably my hardest thing growing as a writer in my younger age, was finding people that could actually help you. Go, okay, this is what you do. This is why this isn't working. And because for me, it was when I was younger, it was like you'd hear it's good or it's nice, and that's great, except
nothing else, nothing really like constructive.
Yeah, you're like, I needed more than that. Thank you.
Yeah, they basically just want to tell you it's great just to make you feel good, but you're like, I need like input.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's kind of where it kind of went. Let me think here. So, why superheroes?
I grew up like my sister, who's like 12 years older than me. She moved into the big city and lived around the White Ave area. I don't know if you know, but like about Edmonton, but
I not a ton, but I've been there a few times, so I kind of get the gist anyway.
Yeah, but she got into the comic book when she was living in there. Then she ended up having to move back home, and she brought all her comics with her, and she had a bunch of like all the different kinds of X-Men.
Oh,
I was able to read through all of them, and I loved it. I just love the idea of having, like, a person having superpowers that kind of just like shape their identity in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that aspect of character building.
So you just like the facts, like, oh, well, what if I give them super speed? What would they be like in real life? Would they always be late? I.e., Barry Allen, the Flash.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, you can make like little quirks about them with their powers, but you could also like define really good things about them.
Absolutely.
It just adds to like a cool kind of character build-up.
Which is always very, very, very important.
Who never wanted superpowers? Like,
oh yeah, but
like almost everybody's thought of is like, hey, what kind of superpower would you like? You could have one.
I know the number one superpower almost everybody wants, and that's the ability to fly, because that would just be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
like, yeah, invulnerability.
This is gonna sound incredibly weird for me, but I'm actually okay with feeling pain. Like pain, I find that on the grand scheme of things, even though I don't like it in that particular moment in time, I find pain is a good thing to feel. It kind of reminds you you're alive, and also it puts you in a position where you have to grow, especially if it's depending on the kind of pain you're going through at that point. You have to make changes if you don't want to feel that pain. And what I find with people is, if there's no, I hate to say it, but it's true. If you're invulnerable, how would you grow as a person? Because you don't have the pain of like the normal pains, bumps and bruises everybody else has. You don't feel them.
Yeah.
All right.
It really change your like mindset on how you look at like things in life and all that.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes at school it's like, hey, I can go through this fire and I don't have to worry about anything. Right? I don't feel it. But okay, so there's no risk for you anymore. There's no danger. I don't know. I think that's a power that I think would make someone very complacent. Because what can you do to that person? Flight's cool because it's like it's almost like an expression of freedom. Super speed's a fun power too, like being able to go at 3,200 miles a second. It seems like a very fun power. right?
Yeah, teleporting too.
Teleporting would be cool. Yeah, I won't.
I don't like driving, so being able to just tell
Yeah,
where you want to go.
it's like I'm there.
Oh, I want to go get some crepes from like France or something.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Oh, you'd be a master thief. There'd be nothing to stop you because you just show up, grab whatever you want, and leave. Oh, jeez. So you're secretly a supervillain. That's right. The great.
Oh, just greedy.
No, I'm not evil. Just greedy. Oh.
That's so bad.
Hey, I like things that shiny and sparkle, and I like grapes. You got a problem with that?
Lack of luxury, but I don't want to work.
That's pretty much everybody. I want the life of luxury, but one second here. I like that life, but I don't want to work hard. It's like that stuff's overrated. I like it nice and easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun character to make.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think that actually is a cool angle and something maybe I don't know if you explore that at all. But I mean there's pros and cons to all these powers. Like invulnerability, you feel nothing.
Yeah.
That's a problem. You don't feel anything. So what would you do to push yourself, make yourself feel alive in that situation? Super strength. Well, everything crumbles in your hands. And I mean everything.
You have to worry about control.
Big time. And which is the true measure of strength, right? It's not what you can lift, it's how you can handle it. Right? I can lift 200 pounds. I can't handle 200 pounds very well, but I can lift 150 pounds and control it very well. And that's where I am in terms of strength. And it's like, oh, okay. So that superpowers are just really interesting in general. I know, but my superpower choice, although I think I would not be a responsible adult with it, would be a power ring.
A what?
Power ring.
Oh, Power Ring.
Yeah, I'm a Green Lantern guy, so I mean that's part of it. But the other thing too, I just like the fact that the only limitation really is his imagination.
The Green Lantern. Yeah, because you would just for creatives that'd probably be the best one because it's based on your imagination and your will.
Well, it's interesting because imagination is one thing. Willpower is a different thing altogether. I think that'd be the temptation with someone with a power ring, right? Because part of willpower is the ability to resist temptation. But now you have access to anything you want. So it's like, huh. You know, I like I said, there's some really neat things you can do with superpowers, good and bad, right, with people. And I think that's the real. I think that's a really interesting thing. And I don't think superhero comics get that opportunity to explore that in great detail.
Yeah, sometimes it kind of breaks people down, but it's a cool thing to think about.
Well, that and also I think it's the limitation. It's the limitation of the medium, right? A comic book, you only have 20 pages to tell a story, so you could over a long period of time tell that kind of story. But in the short term, I mean, you don't have that kind of like time. You know what I mean? So, who's your favorite X-Men?
Who's my favorite? Sorry, who's my favorite what?
X-Men.
X-Men? Oh.
I've stumped her.
I'd have to say it's like a tie with the X-Men. I'd have to say it's a tie between Wolverine and Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler's cool.
Yeah, and with like a favorite Marvel character is definitely Deadpool.
Oh God. So you like insane? You like the insane fourth wall Deadpool?
Yeah, but I also like how kind of deep his character can be at times, even though he is very silly at other times.
I like old school Deadpool, like before he could see the fourth wall. He was crazy, but he was more of a cerebral. I hate to say he was more of a cerebral killer. He was more Merc with a mouth, less like crazy meta fourth wall character. Don't get me wrong, I like the fourth wall character, but there's a part of me that really enjoys that old school Merc.
It's just kind of like edgy character.
You know, a little bit edgy, but a little bit more again, still crazy, but a little bit more grounded in terms of what, like, there were times where he was a touch more pragmatic in his approach, and I thought that showed a really clever side to him. So that doesn't always get shown now.
Yeah, like, he's kind of up and down. Like, sometimes he, like, just seems to be winging. He has another very methodical, even though he doesn't show it. And then you see it, like, as his plans come together.
Yeah, he has the ability. He has the ability to be an incredibly methodical character, and I enjoy him when he's like that, because I think that's when he's at his most dangerous. I don't mind him being silly. In fact, the fact that he's got that kind of elasticity to him.
Yeah.
Right.
Very dynamic character. He can go either way.
Yeah. Is very cool.
Things, but he can also kind of break tension and just make it laugh.
Yeah, my personal favorite is in a video game, in a fighting game, if you're him and you lose, he literally goes, "You pressed the wrong button." It's like, yes. And then that's where I can kind of like be like, okay, that's forgivable, right? And then that's where I can like, okay, I can enjoy this in this moment. But I think when I like reading him, I like him being a touch more methodical than what he usually is.
In his stories, you like him a little bit more of.
I like the Merc. I enjoy the Merc. Yeah, that's me. My favorite Marvel character.
Stuff like that is okay to do the silly fourth wall breaking.
Yeah, well, I don't mind the fourth wall breaking, just not every issue. There's points when that's all he's written as, and I find that's
kind of distracting.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly it. It's just like I don't mind it once in the blue moon, but like I'm much more interested with him when he's a little bit more, like I said, just more in the moment, and because I know it's a comic book myself. I don't need to always, and there are subtle ways that I think writers and artists can tell a story that get the readers in on it without necessarily always acknowledging like blowing a trumpet and a whistle and going, "Hey, this is how it goes."
Yeah, exactly. It's like one show that I didn't really like mostly for this was I don't know if you ever seen Smallville.
Yes.
Yeah, I tried watching the first season of it, and I could not get into it because it seemed like every few minutes they were just slapping you in the face with a Superman Easter egg.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
Oh, you look good in blue. Oh
God. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, I get it. He's gonna be Superman. Shut up.
Yes. Well, the thing is, that journey was about him becoming that character, and that's cool. So you got a hint where it's gonna go a little bit, but yeah, not every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And in like super obvious ways, like I like the little Easter eggs that are kind of out of the way that you kind of catch if you're looking for them.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Well, I find Gotham does that for me. Like I'm too much. It's too heavy-handed. I find that I think Gotham should be a lot more Commissioner Gordon orientated, a little less young Bruce Wayne, a little less Batman. I mean, you can have Batman centric villains, but I think
Well, in that way, that's why the first season of Gotham was the best one. Like, I still enjoy watching it because it is pretty fun to watch, but first season of Gotham was best because it was mostly about Jim Gordon like fighting the mob, the gritty mob story, and so they brought in a lot of these kind of things.
well, like I said,
It's going too fast with the villains. Calm down.
I find I was laughing at Gotham in spots I should not have been laughing at, and that told me right there that they didn't do it as well as they should have, and that's kind of when I said, no, I can't watch this show. I just can't. The only superhero shows I enjoy, the only superhero shows I enjoy today are The Flash, because it's a fun show. It's not. It doesn't try to pretend to be something it's not. It's just a fun show. I like Supergirl more now. I wish they had done a different love triangle in the first season. I think that would have changed the whole course of that show. But still, again, once in a while, it's a fun show to watch. And that's pretty much what I enjoy. I do not like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So.
No?
No.
I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. mostly. Like, I think it's a little bit more well written.
It has its. Here's the problem with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for me. I don't care about any of the characters.
Yeah,
That's the problem with it. Like, right there. Right. Well, Coulson I like in the movies. But in S.H.I.E.L.D., I find he's a little less approachable because again his role is different in S.H.I.E.L.D. In the movies, he's the human guy hanging out with the Avengers, or is dealing with a problem. So he's like you have this natural inclination to root for him in those situations because he's outmatched.
Like a guy doing his job.
Yeah, that's what he is in the movies, right? And he's got some really cool human moments, like he's a huge Captain America fan, so on and so forth, right? Which adds a nice little layer. Like, this is a guy that believes in heroes, and that's what makes Coulson really cool. But when you look at him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he's still that guy, but you're coming at this from the other end, where he's running the show, right? This is his baby, right? Even though again, he answers to people there too, he's dealing with his job, but he doesn't feel as overmatched because he's not on the really big stage anymore, because he hasn't been on it since the show's been on there. And the other part of it too is it's also more about his team, which is cool. You don't need it to be all about him. I mean, he's not that kind of character, but his role's different. He's not the guy you're rooting for because he's the odd one out anymore. He's just part of the fold.
Part with it, like, people like him.
Yeah, exactly.
And I still like him because he has some, like, really cool dialogue, and I enjoy watching that show.
And to each their own. This is just why I just think the dynamic's different there. That's all. And so the things I really liked about him don't get as highlighted.
Yeah.
Because they can't be. So.
Did you like the Flash?
Yeah.
show? What do you think about the newest bad guy they have in the season devote?
The Thinker?
Yeah.
I like that idea. You have to match him up. Like the Flash is a cool character because you have to match him up with you can match him up with a lot of different people. Like Captain Cold and Mirror Master are very different what they do to the Flash, right? My personal favorite Flash villain of all time is Abracadabra. I'm a big fan. I like that character. He's just neat. The Trickster's a cool character too, just because
They brought Dark Hamill back for.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Like kind of a throwback to the old
Yes.
show where he was the
But you need like the idea of, I'm not sure he's executed perfectly well, but the idea of someone like the Thinker to challenge the Flash isn't.
I like the idea of the Thinker going up against him, but the way he's written, he's just kind of infuriating. So obnoxious.
Well, but that's part of, like, again, that's part of him. He's a dick. I mean, he's supposed to be.
Villains that are obnoxious too.
No, okay, Captain Cold's not a dick. I mean, he's not necessarily a good.
Now.
No. He's not a dick. He never was, right? He's not necessarily a nice person. He's not somebody you want to have knock on your door. But he's not really a dick. He's just a guy that he runs a racket. He protect. Like, he's got a lot of admirable qualities. It's just on which side of the fence he's on makes him a bad guy, right?
That was like really. He had a talent. This is how he earned his way in the world, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
He was like my favorite thing of Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
and they took him out.
Well,
And I was so upset.
yeah. Well, but the thing is,
Like butter.
but that's the thing. Captain Cold's not a dick. Like, if you really look at him, he's a guy that does his job, right? Now, he's a bit of a sociopath. Again, he's not a good person.
No.
But you can understand him, right? He's not someone that if you and him were in a bar and you offered him a beer and he'd have a drink with you. He wouldn't care, right? Especially if you're not his job. Now again, his job would come first. And if you're just so happen to be on the other end of that, oh well, too bad, so sad. But he's not going to go out of his way to fuck with somebody he doesn't have to with either.
His form.
No, he's not a dick. I'm not going to say he's not necessarily a bad guy, but he's not a dick, and he's someone you can understand.
Yeah.
The Thinker is a dick, right? Yeah, right. He's
with the Thinker's story right now is that I don't understand. He's really doing any of this.
and that's something they hopefully explain, or it doesn't matter.
I'm hoping they do, because right now, like, he keeps on talking big about make everybody like understand and make the world better, but I'm going to spend most of my time going after the Flash for some reason.
Well, like I said, but again, the idea of somebody trying to outwit the Flash, like not like the Trickster does, but on a bigger scale, is interesting. Like in concept is interesting.
Interesting concept, but the thing they're not getting across is his true motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's but like I said, so that's where I'm in, right? Yeah, he's obnoxious because he's supposed to be. He's smarter than everybody in the room, and he doesn't want you to forget that. Ever. Right? That's who he is, right? And again, that's again there are some villains that by nature you don't root for at all. You're not supposed to. If you do, there might be you might like the Joker.
Yeah.
Right? You're not supposed to root for the Joker, right?
We're not supposed to root for them, but they should still be interesting to watch. Like with the Thinker right now, every time he comes on the screen and starts talking,
You fall asleep.
I just want him to shut up.
Yes, just go away. I don't want you anymore.
Yeah. Same with Lex Luthor and the new Justice League movies.
See, I didn't like Luthor in Batman Superman.
No, I didn't either.
I did not mind him in Justice League, though.
What? He was in, like, Heavy Seas? Isn't that Justice League movie?
No, he's in the Justice League movie at the very end, and I thought that was actually really.
He's in the after credits.
Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. That was a good. I liked that scene.
Actually.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. That was like, okay, that is how Luthor should be.
Hoping they do him a little better.
Well,
It was just weird, like when he took the Jolly Rancher and just kind of put it in that guy's mouth. I was just like, what?
Like I said, Batman, Superman, and not so big fan of that movie outside of Wonder Woman's appearance. But even so, it's not worth watching that movie to see her. I'm sorry, it's just not. But
The Justice movie was okay.
oh, I like the Justice League movie. I enjoyed it. It was 20 minutes too short, and I don't usually say that about a lot of movies, but that actually was about 20 minutes too short. They had to rush some things in the movie because of their time constraints, and you could see that. So it was just a good movie. It wasn't a bad movie. It was just not a great movie. It was good. But it was good.
It didn't make me angry at parts.
No, it was a fun movie. I love the after credit scene with Superman and the Flash is awesome. It's one of my favorite scenes ever. So.
Yeah, where they're doing the race.
Yeah. It's such a classic DC thing, but it's something Superman would do. It's something Batman would do. Superman would be like, yeah, I really want to know who'd win this. I don't know. That's what, and like I said, that's a very cool part of Superman that doesn't get explored very much. Is that he actually enjoys competition. It's just rare that he has any.
But people can compete with it.
Exactly. But he enjoys it when he gets that opportunity. So, and I like that about him as a character. So, I'm more of a DC guy, but again, Green Lantern, Flash, like that stuff a little bit more. They're just I think for me it's just because Marvel's definitely realer by and large. Feels like more of a real world, has more of a real world feel to it. But I think the thing about superheroes, I think the best thing about superheroes is is escapism, and I think DC's better at that.
Yeah. The DC is like, I think probably overall like Marvel better because there's a lot more characters I like in Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
But DC I like too, but mostly because I love Batman.
Everybody loves Batman.
Everybody loves Batman.
Yes.
People like, I find that people who really like Superman don't like Batman, and people who really like Batman don't like Superman.
And see, I like both, but I can appreciate them both differently. I'm more of a Superman guy than a Batman guy. I'll admit that. But I like The thing about Batman is he's the ultimate rubber band. You can put him in any situation, and he fits. And he fits. Doesn't matter what it is.
Planning his way out of it.
Yeah, well, not just his planning, just the fact that this is a guy, like when you sit there and think about it, the cool thing about Batman is, this is a guy that does not want to have anyone go through what he did. That's who he is. At his core, all the trappings aside, this is a man who does not want to see another kid watch his parents get gunned down. Ever again. Alright? Because of how horrible that experience was. And he's willing to be this person to do that. He's literally a kid's dream. A kid's dream to be the ultimate warrior, right? The ultimate protector, and that's a very oddly human aspect to him that doesn't always get the light of day it deserves. That he has that in him, makes him very cool. Another great. But Superman's fun because he's like a kid's imagination of what the ultimate protector would be. He's super strong and super fast, and bullets bounce off him. And,
he's so nice and
yeah, but from a kid's perspective, that's awesome. All right, and even though as an adult you're like, how can I write him for a long period of time? He's a kid's story. Write him like a kid. And you'll find that
kind of funny because when you see it like personality wise sometimes when he's like not being Superman, he's kind of a dork.
Yes.
And that's the kind of fun part about him.
Well, that's part of the funny. That part. So my favorite Superman story is called All-Star Superman. Grant Morrison wrote it. So he had Clark be this klutz, right? But on purpose, because this is what would happen when Clark got really klutzy. He'd be quietly saving people from situations that he saw coming in a way that people wouldn't notice him doing it.
Yeah.
Right? I thought that is such a Superman thing to do. I don't need the credit to save your life. I'm just doing it because I that's who I am. And meanwhile, you're swearing, you son of a bitch, while that light that was about to hit you falls behind you because he bumped you out of the way.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, why'd you shove me? It's like, oh, sorry, I just ran into you.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. My bad. And you hear a clunk behind you. What was that? Nothing important. Have a good day. Right? Like I said, I love Superman when he's written well. I love him when he's written well. I don't like him when he's just Superman. But the thing is, he's a lot harder to write because he's Superman.
He is, because it's the thing of like writing him. There's a conflict. It's hard to put him in conflict where you actually are invested in conflict.
Well, it's hard.
Sometimes you're like, you know that he's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
And they make you care in other ways. It's like, Lois Lane is going to get hurt, or this whole neighborhood's going to get hurt.
Or
how they can make you care about the conflict.
Or you put him in a situation where his powers don't do him any good.
Yeah.
Right. It just for all that power, there's still things he can't do. Right. And those were the best Superman stories actually, but they don't.
That's why Lex Luthor is such a good villain for him. Lex Luthor knows how to kind of manipulate public opinion sometimes.
Sometimes I find
Kind of like go after him in a legal way that he can't. That makes Superman like look like the bad guy sometimes.
Sometimes I see for me, I think Lex Luthor's at his best when he's not always the villain. I find if you look at Luthor's problem with Superman, if you really sit there and think about it, is that he can't compete with Superman. That's his problem with him, right? He doesn't actually like Luthor is a lot like Batman in a lot of ways, and the only real difference between the two of them, is Batman can handle the fact that there's someone like Superman out there. Yeah. Luthor can't. Luthor has this thing where no matter how strong I am, how fast I am, how smart I am, it doesn't matter. He's Superman. Fuck that guy. And that's Luthor. Now, what I think is done wrong with Luthor sometimes is, outside of Superman, he's not. That's an insecurity with him personally, right? Right. But outside of that, I mean, there are situations I've read in comics. They've done stories where if Superman wasn't around, Luthor might be the biggest hero of them all.
Yeah.
Right? I like it when Luthor has those really human qualities to him, where he's actually a really nice guy. He's generous. He just has an issue with the fact that Superman is not only different than he is, but better. Yeah. And again, you can understand that, right?
Yeah, because he's better in every way just because he's Superman.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, and the thing is, the only reason you don't resent Superman for it, you don't. Superman never asked to be this way.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where Superman gets a pass for most people. But Luthor can't handle it, and that's a very so. Me personally, that's when I like Luthor at his best, was when he's a good guy, other than Superman. Yeah. Because that I think adds a more nuanced character than what he's ultimately portrayed as. I don't like him as this evil, bad, mad scientist type that's got this vendetta against Superman above all else. I like this guy that actually is doing great things too. He just doesn't feel like he measures up to Superman.
Yeah, it makes him a more well-rounded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then he's much more interesting than for Superman to fight too, because if you're Superman, you understand this a little bit, right? I mean, the only thing is Superman, again, because Superman never asked to be this way. Right? Everybody else has to give Superman a pass. He can't. Okay, you know what? That's a cool story. That's a cool villain for him. Right? That's me though. Right? So.
Even like with your villain, be all about them. You have to give them some kind of thought, because they're people. You gotta put in your head that they're people too. Yep. Unless in cases where they're not people, but
well,
villains, they are people too. So you have to think of them. Like, this isn't all about, this isn't the only thing about them.
Well, exactly. It's also the fact that how do I put this? I like, okay, so one of my favorite Marvel villain of all time is Doctor Doom.
Oh yeah?
I love Doctor Doom. Because he's absurd. I mean, he talks in the third person, which is just which when I
Dr. Doom.
Well, no, just Doom would not do this, and you're looking at this, it's like, you're such a pretentious ass. Why am I smiling so much, right? But the other reason why, and he's a lot like Luthor in this, he's just one of the smartest, most capable men on the planet. He just can't compete with Reed.
Yeah, and then.
Right, which is, again, it's a really human
kind of.
That's kind of like, that's why I like him. Magneto's also a really good villain, because Magneto to me isn't really necessarily a villain, but more of an anti-hero.
Yeah, so Magneto is always kind of enduring, because he's just not on the right side of the battle that you are. He's like fighting. He has a good cause, it's just opposite from your cause.
But it's a cause you'd understand. But it's a cause again.
It's a very good cause, like
But
standing up for the people that are oppressed.
yeah, and when you understand where he's coming from, you actually empathize with him, right? And sometimes you even agree with him more, which is really interesting. You know, he's an interesting character that way, right? And those are the best ones in terms of villains. When a good villain always believes he's right or she's right. A great villain has a point
Of their own story.
Well, that's every villain. Everybody's that way. But I think a great villain, right, is not only thinks they're right, has a point.
Yeah.
Because that is when it gets really interesting.
Like the villain Killmonger in the new Black Panther movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's presented as the bad guy of the movie, but then you're thinking about like some of the things, and he does have a point with some things. But then, like one good thing that the movie makes apparent that he's acting from a place of hurt. So that kind of makes him a very endearing character.
Mm-hmm.
That he's like lashing out because of the things that happened to him in his life, and it makes him very sympathetic. Even though he's doing all these really bad things.
Yeah. Well, it's just the way. Again, that's the cool thing about superhero genres is bad guys. Well, any genre in literature, bad guys have to believe they're right, or nothing they do matters. But really good.
That circles back to the earlier thing we said about understanding their motivation.
Yeah, exactly. But really good bad guys, right? Really good bad guys are right on some are actually right on some level.
Yeah.
Because if they're right, then that forces you as a hero, you as a culture, you as whoever the protagonist is, to grow. However you deal with this, right? You have to grow from it, right? Because if they're right, well, what do you do with it? They're still wrong on some things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right?
He's right in their way of thinking, but wrong in their execution, and like a good hero has to try to convince them of it.
Yep. Well, like I said, that's my favorite. Those are my favorite kind of villains, right? I'll tell you what. My least favorite villain is the Joker.
Because he just does.
Well, that's it. There's no motivation. There's nothing like you don't like the Joker's kind of like a car crash.
Yeah,
It's there.
but you can't take your eyes off of it.
Yeah, that's it. Like he's a car crash. He's more of a force of nature than a human being, and that's cool once in a while to have someone like that because that reminds you that there are just things out there that you just can't understand, or should not understand. But on the same token, on the flip side of that, right? You gotta look at the fact that with him, you can't have him in the story for a long period of time because there's only so far you can go with the character like that.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't have him being the only villain. That's why. That's the good thing about the Batman story and the Batman's comics is they have a very good cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got him, Spider-Man, and the Flash have the best villain, like the best villains, like dynamics all lined up.
Yeah.
So we haven't even gotten Spider-Man yet, but that might be for another conversation. As I think we've had a pretty good interview here. So, did you have fun?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Talking about that kind of stuff.
All right. So, for people that want to find you and what's your book about, why don't you just end the interview by talking about that stuff?
My book is called Beyond the Code, and it's available through Amazon, Inkshares.com, and through major bookstores like Barnes & Noble, Indigo, Kohl's, Chapters. And it's basically a fast-paced story with people with superpowers, gun battles, sword duels, and a lot of spycraft, and a strict code of honor between the knights of the story.
Very, very cool. And how can people find you?
And people can find me through Inkshares.com. I have a profile page on there, and they can also find me on Facebook, Kelsey Barthel. And they can find me on Twitter at BIC Inkshares. I see you here.
And that was that. I want to thank Kelsey Barthel for being part of the show. Check out her book. Check out Code of Honor. Check out all her works. It was a blast having her on the show. I hope to have her again sometime down the road. And that will do it for another episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. You can subscribe to it. Podomatic, iTunes. I'm hoping to get on Spotify real soon. If I do, you'll be the first to know. My YouTube channel is Joshua Penteloresco. A lot of past episodes are there. More are going to be added soon. You can buy my books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, through MirrorWorldPublishing.com, Amazon, or any other place you can buy books electronically. It will be there. If you like the book, leave a review. If you don't like the book, don't tell anybody, okay? Beyond that, follow me on Twitter, J Penteloresco on Twitter and Instagram. Say hi. Love to chat. All right. Beyond all that, guys, stay inspired out there. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, or don't get caught. All right. See you around.
Josh.